Hello and welcome to a What Sold video. This is everything that sold for me from March 2nd to March 8th on not live selling platforms. And I'm excited to start off with Pango. If you guys saw my last video, I recently took up selling books on Pango and it has gone well. In that video, I showed you the first book I sold, but I didn't show you any of the other ones because I was expecting to share them here with you. And that's what I'm gonna do now. So I'm gonna scoot over here. And I sold a copy of The Queen of the Damned by Anne Rice. This is the third book in the Vampire Chronicles. The first book being An Interview with the Vampire, the second book being The Vampire Lestat. Do you really need to know that? No, but I'm not good at not sharing things. So I had originally listed this on Whatnot for $2. It didn't sell on Whatnot. And it sold on Pango for $3. I made a higher profit because you guys actually get to see my profit margins here on Pango. So I bought this book originally for 25 cents at the bins. I would have listed this for $2 on Whatnot, didn't sell on Whatnot. I wouldn't have been able to even list this for $2 on eBay because of, you know, thrift books and second sale. There's a bunch of volume sellers on eBay that would make it very hard for me to sell this book, which is why I'm very happy to have found another space for it. And I basically made twice what I would have made on profit on if I'd sold on Whatnot, and then I made 8 times what it would have sold on eBay. So this is awesome. Again, really excited about Pango. I'm really excited to have another place to put books. And hopefully, I know a lot of you guys checked it out after my last video, so if you've decided to give Pango a try, I hope it works out as well for you as it has for me in the last month. I do also want to give just a little bit more of an update in this video about that, just because it's been so recent and just as a general follow-up. It has been exactly 30 days as of I'm filming this video, and I have sold a total of 31 books on Pango, which is actually 17% of the total books I have listed on Pango. So 17% of the books I have listed on Pango in the last 30 days have sold, which is an insane number. If you think about it, if I sold 17% of my total volume on eBay in my store, I would live in a much nicer house, honestly, considering the amount of stuff I have listed on eBay. Again, really, really pleased. I hope it continues. I don't know if it's just because I'm new or I'm just listing the right stuff there or what. I'm not sure, but I'm really happy. As far as per book, I'm averaging a profit per book, if you just do it by the mean, $2.20 per book, which is, again, awesome. That's more than what I would make on Whatnot for most of them, and definitely more what I would make on eBay for a lot of them, and way more than what Second and Charles would give me. I'm not saying it's perfect because, you know, I do sell a lot of vintage and antique books, and eBay is still going to be the place for that. And I do sell a lot of sets, and I believe eBay is also going to be the place for that because sets, unless you're doing like a box set that has its own ISBN, doesn't seem to perform as well there unless you're doing like the out of print Sarah J. Maas books or something that is in like a super high demand in general. But overall, Pango has been great. So hopefully this will be a regular occurrence in these What Sold videos. I will let you know that over the next month they will be, because as I said, I've sold 17% of the books I list on Pango. So you're gonna keep getting more of this, and not just eBay sales, which is nice just to not have eBay sales. Let's get over here. And yeah, let's talk about eBay sales now, because that's what we're gonna go to. First eBay sale, I picked this up at the bins. I offered it for sale also on Whatnot because it was one of the bins pickups. Really cute. I am now smaller, so I actually thought about pulling this to wear for the summer, but it sold before it got warm enough to do that. It is finally starting to warm up. It's gonna get cold a little bit again, but thankfully it's not supposed to get below freezing anymore. Hopefully that means more good days ahead. This is just gorgeous. It's a cute little high-waisted rockabilly type thing. It's from the 90s. Sold for my full asking price of $19.87. This was 100% a style pickup. This is a thank you to Nancy. Nancy is a wonderful supporter of my channel. Nancy, I cannot thank you enough for both your kind messages on my videos, your kind messages when you buy something from me, and your kindness to continue to support me in my business, and to Miss Moxie's butt in all of the videos. So thank you. She bought this Jerry outdoor piece. I picked this up because it was new with tags. And I also picked this up as the bin as well. So it sold for $19.87. And Nancy, I appreciate you buying something for me for full price. That's really awesome. As you can see, I listed it the 6th of February. It took a month to sell, so decent sell-through rate. But I sold this book for $1.59. This is Big Hero 6. I would have been able to sell it for more and on Pango, but this is before I found out about Pango. So this is probably one of the last sales like this you're gonna see on this channel on eBay as I slowly start to pull stuff from my eBay store that's like this and listing it on Pango. I still have a lot of my own book death pile to get through first, and then I'll start culling the book inventory on eBay. But yeah, sold for $1.59. I paid 25 cents for this at the bins. I made basically I think like 70 cents from this. Again, glad another book didn't end up in the landfill, but I now have another place for this, so I was super excited. So this is a pair of Adidas Adi Zeros. I had originally picked these up for myself at a thrift store because I used to really like running in these. However, I didn't like the way these fit. These are more modern Adi Zeros than the ones that I'm used to when I worked for Adidas. My favorite Adidas running shoes were the Marathon 10s. And they don't make those anymore. The new Marathons don't have the same foot form, but that was my favorite running shoe, and they fit my foot perfectly, especially the trail ones. Oh, they were so good. And yeah, so I originally picked these up for myself because they were in my size, and I needed another pair of running shoes, so I thought it was serendipity, but it turned out to not be. But it still sold for $29.87. It did take a while to sell them. But because I only paid $7 for them at the thrift store, it's okay. And these went off to a new home. I've talked about how occult stuff, astrology stuff, psychic stuff all sells well on eBay. Well, not all of it, but a lot of it sells well on eBay. Another bin's fine. Edgar Case is one of the people to look out for. Not all of his books do well, but some of them do sell very well. And this sold for $14.87 and the buyer paid for shipping. So I paid 25 cents for this at the bins. Love that for me. This is another bins find. Burton is a snowboarding brand. This is just like a base layer to wear. It did have one tiny pull in it that I didn't notice at the bins because it's the bins. It didn't sell on Whatnot, but it eventually sold on eBay for $10. Another piece I picked up at the bins. This is Abercrombie & Fitch. This is now my size. Another item that I thought about pulling to wear for the summer, but I don't have to because it's sold. It sold for $13.16 because I sent off an offer and they accepted it. And I'm just glad it went off to a new home. I was just trying, because Abercrombie & Fitch has changed, is now more size inclusive and has had a resurgent for Gen Z because of the Y2K trends that are going on. So I figured I'd give it a try, but it took like a year and a half to sell. So maybe I just didn't get the right Abercrombie & Fitch. This was an amazing sale. For those of you that don't know about Robin's jeans, this is Robin's jeans. Very much looks like a buckle or a pair of diesel jeans or affliction jeans. They basically look like Miss Me jeans, but for men. I don't know how else to describe them, but it is like a designer pair of jeans. They all sell for roughly this amount of money. When I found these at the thrift store, I was like, this is totally worth paying $9 for, which is what jeans cost at thrift stores now if I'm paying full price. I got very excited because this is my first time finding Robin's jeans. I don't know if I get to show you this. I don't think I actually filmed when I found these. But yeah, I got very excited to find these. They take a while to sell. I got so many lowball offers, but I've talked about before how my strategy when that happens, if I get a bunch of lowball offers, now I didn't have offers turned on this pair of jeans when I originally listed it because I knew that these were high demand jeans. So people kept sending me messages, hey, will you take 50? Hey, will you take 40? Hey, will you take 50? Hey, will you take 40? Literally that on repeat, at least once a week. At the beginning, like the first month, it was at least like 2 or 3 times a week. And then like after that, regularly once a week, I would get that message until I eventually turned offers on and then nobody ever sent me any offers. So I don't know what that was about, but that did magically stop the messages from happening. So that's not true. I had one more person ask if I would take $40 for these, and I was like, offers are on. And then I got nothing from them. So normally when I'm getting a whole lot of offers, that means that where I've priced this at is correct and it will eventually sell for full price. And it did. It sold for my full asking price of $99.87. And I've already received positive feedback for these jeans. So I know that they're staying in their forever home, and this was an amazing sale. I would love to find them again, but yeah, that was definitely like a big, I know what you are, yay! Which I'm gonna follow up with a book, surprise! I actually picked this up at the Big Book Bundler Warehouse buy, so I have $1 into this book, but again, I'm very well into the profit. This is The Drive-In by Joe Lansdale. This is a science fiction book, and there are 2 of these, so this is the Drive-In, and then I also found the second one. I thought about selling them together, but realized that I could get more money for them and they would probably sell faster if I sold them separately. So that's what I decided to do. This did sell for my full asking price of $39.87. And this was still free shipping because I still kept getting viewers on it. This is another book that I also got lowball offers for. So I got like offer for 15 and an offer for 20. So another one where I was just like, no, and it did eventually sell for my full asking price. So if you see this tiny little paperback and it says The Drive-In, maybe pick it up. So the next one is an Eddie Bauer piece. I've talked about how I pick up tall stuff for girlies because I'm a tall girly, and it sold for $9.78. I bought this at Diversity for $1. So very happy with this and glad that this moved on to a new home. Really happy when I got an offer for this Lands' End piece. This sold for $12. I picked this up at the bins. I've talked about how I will pick up like Lands' End and Eddie Bauer stuff at the bins or at Diversity when I find it because it does sell for me. It just sometimes takes a little while. This is a beautiful sweater. I was so surprised that this didn't sell and whatnot. It's another item I picked up at the bins because it was a gorgeous open front, like split cardigan, so color block cardigan. This Lane Bryant piece, 1820. I offered it for sale for $2 and whatnot, didn't sell there. Did sell for my full asking price of $19.87 and the buyer paid for shipping. I just thought the sweater was absolutely lovely. This is a book from that Restore buy, so I have 10 cents into this book. So somebody accepted an offer I sent out. Sold for $8.88 and the buyer paid for shipping. So very happy with this sale. This is a Christopher Banks gift from Melissa. So Melissa, thank you. This sold for $10.04. So, you know, Christopher Banks is not a brand that I would pick up at the bins. It's not a brand that I would, you know, typically pick up at all at retail. But because this was free, I did list it and it was in good shape. So thank you, Melissa. I appreciate you. This is another thing from Melissa. This is a Tommy Hilfiger belt. It was, you know, it's an adjustable belt. So I just measured the adjustments so that way I could list it. Super simple, easy listing. I love selling belts and ties. They're really easy to list and they're really easy to photograph and they take up no space in storage. Sold for my full asking price of $9.87 and buyer paid for shipping. So again, Melissa, thank you. I think this is actually an item from a thumbnail in a bins shopping spree that I did. I think the shopping part was actually me doing through the clothes, but I was showing the books that I picked up, and this was one of the books that I picked up that was valuable. Even though it's not a booklet, it's a pamphlet from Disneyland from the 70s. And when I found this, I was super excited because I know vintage Disney stuff, especially this ephemera type stuff, can sell that well and be very valuable. And so when I looked this up, this specific pamphlet for the Haunted Mansion was selling between $35 and $60. You can see here I took an offer of $40 for it, and I'm more than happy with that because this cost me 25 cents and it took up absolutely no space in my inventory. This is great. I was super excited about this, and it took a year to sell, but it's a vintage piece of ephemera. So honestly, that's still pretty great as far as speed of sale. I've talked about choose your own adventure books here on this channel. The vintage ones do sell for more money and sell faster, but the 90s and 2000s reprints will also sell. I've talked about how I put them in lots and they sell well for me, or they sell consistently for me. Even this random one where it's like 1, 2, and 17, it still sold for $5.87 and the buyer paid for shipping. And I have 75 cents in these books. Did I make a whole lot of money? No. Did I save some books from landfill? Yes. This is a Tord piece, another piece that I found at the bins. surprised it didn't sell on Whatnot, but it did sell on eBay for $16.87. And because it's a bins find, I have probably like $1 into this. So very happy with this sale. Another bins find, I've talked about how I would pick up cross stitch and needlework stuff and crochet patterns and stuff at the bins. So I have 25 cents into this and it sold for $5.15. It was just a cat cross stitch thing and it was super cool. So I had to pick it up because I thought it was neat looking. I'm very happy that it found a new home and hopefully that person will make it. This is another gift from Melissa. This is a Epcot hat. So she's not really interested in selling hats. So she gives them to me when she finds them. This one, I washed it and the embroidery ran. Like the red embroidery ran. I just disclosed it. It still sold for $10 and it was free to me. So this was great. And the last thing I have to share with you is this cookbook. This is not an antique cookbook, but all the recipes in it are antique recipes. So when this cookbook was put together, I think this cookbook was actually put together in the 80s, and all the recipes in it were over 100 years old. So all of the recipes in this cookbook were from 1880 or earlier, if that makes sense. I found this at the bins for 25 cents. Because it's free shipping, I probably made like $2. Well, my camera died and I don't feel like going downstairs and changing the battery. So I saved a book from the landfill and I'm really happy about that. But that was the last sale to share with you anyway. I hope this was interesting. Miss Moxie is of course down here being super cute, just in case you didn't see her butt wandering around enough. Now you got to see her a little bit more. But thank you guys so much for watching. I hope this was interesting or helpful. This is just stuff that's selling for me. And I will see you guys in the next one. Until then, bye. Bye.